greater loyalty, my hands towards their service, and my health to better living, for my club, my community, my country, and my world.
Thank you, Cameron and Natalie Rhodes.
Six, Dawson County Swine Show. We are thankful for everybody that's here and our visitors and their families. We are going to start off our showmanship with our junior show. And we'd like to also recognize the Hosick family who is sponsoring today's junior 4-H swine showmanship. And they will be presenting the award after our judge has a chance to evaluate our competitor. Our show today is being judged by Bailey Holmes, Bailey grew up on a diversified farming and cattle operation near Air. And most of her younger years, she competed in Adams County, where she did a lot of 4-H showing with both cattle and hogs. She and her family have a Charolais cattle operation. They also raise corn, soybeans, and wheat. And she competed collegiately as a judge with Nebraska College of Technical Agriculture, where she was a member of their livestock judging team. She competed in many competitions around the country and was multiple times awarded for her top 10 finishes. She has returned to her family farm where she helps out with running the commercial cows and helps out with bull and female sales each year. And she's very humble to come back here and judge many shows for the area. So at this time, let's give Bailey a big Dawson County welcome.
Pleasure to be back again this morning. We've got a single entry here into our junior showmanship contest, but that doesn't take anything away from this young man. He's doing a great job of getting this gilt drove. He's got her head up. He knows where he's at in the ring. He's staying out in the center where I can see him well. So let's give him a round of applause. He'll be your champion junior showman.
Your champion junior swine showmanship is exhibited by Riggs and Conville. And again, we'd like to recognize the Yosek family who is sponsoring today's champion. In the ring right now, we have our intermediate swine showmanship competitors. We have 4 competitors that are competing in this event.
A nice group here in the intermediate showmanship division. They're all doing a really nice job. As we've done with other species, I'll just talk with each one of the kids individually. Things I'm looking for in the swine showmanship, I want them coming out, getting those hogs throw, getting that head up, and just kind of getting out to where I can see you. I don't need you right on top of me. I think they've been pretty good at keeping a good distance. Sometimes as we get a few head in here, you kind of want to keep a little bit to yourself so you're not running your pig into other pigs, but do kind of try to keep in front of me. So I think they're playing that balance and running that line pretty well out here today. I'll go out and I'll show you the champion and reserve, but let's put our hands together for all 4 of the exhibitors. They're doing a great job.
We'd like to congratulate all 4 exhibitors on doing a great job in our intermediate swine showmanship. Your champion exhibitor is Augustus Barnes and reserve champion Megan Walhowski. Also receiving a purple ribbon, Grant Walhowski. And a blue ribbon awarded to Alex Richardson. The championship trophy was sponsored by Dawson County Farm Bureau. As our Judge Family Heinrichs meets with our exhibitors and talks about the events, I would like to let our 4-H families that have kids exhibiting in the swine show today, please have your award-winning exhibitors prepared to have their pictures taken immediately at the conclusion of the show. Again, we will be doing backdrop photos immediately after the show.
And I said here in the senior showmanship, these young ladies are doing a nice job. Maybe just some difference in how effectively they're getting that hog drove and just where they're, how good they are at getting that head up and just really getting in front of me. Hogs can be challenging sometimes. They have a mind of their own and they're sure smart. So I commend each one of you out. You all go out and I'll pick a champion reserve. Let's put our hands together for these 4.
In our senior swine showmanship, your champion exhibitor is Bristol McConville and reserve champion Paige Walahowski. Blue ribbons being awarded to Dally Barnes and Greta Rickardson. Today's senior swine showmanship sponsor was PM Farms. Congratulations again to all our swine showmanship exhibitors. We will now move into our breeding guilds class. It takes a number of people to make these shows go on. I'd like to thank the Barnes family here that are helping out in the ring. They are doing a great job passing on the ribbons and doing everything they can. So, to the Rhodes family, like that. And we'd also like to thank Alicia Lassen, who is helping out here at the desk. She is our clerk and recording all the information and coordinating all the ribbons. And we'd also like to thank Patrick Peterson, who's out in the ring. Patrick's also a longtime 4-H'er, very involved in the swine show for many years, both as breeder and exhibitor. So thank you to all these people.
A single entry into the first class of the breeding guilds. The young man brought this guild out in showmanship as well. I like this guild just in terms of the length of spine. I think she's one that's good in her underline. She's got plenty of muscle shape. I think she's pretty green at this point. I'm okay with that. I think she's one that could maybe be just bellied up a little bit, add a little bit of dimension and rib shape to her, but he's done a nice job with her. We really like the length of this one. We'll see him back out in a while.
In the first class of swine breeding guilds, a purple ribbon being awarded to Augustus Barnes. a couple of other events I'd like to note for today. We're excited to host the first ever Dawson County Premium Auction this afternoon. Bidder registration will begin at 4 p.m. with the auction starting at 5 p.m. We invite everyone to come out and help support this event and support our youth. To exhibit in these events, it takes a fair amount of commitment, not only with time and energy that these families are bringing, but there are a fair amount of expenses that are involved. And so these auctions really help extend and make these opportunities for exhibiting really happen. So we'd like to thank all the exhibitors and the families, and we encourage those that are interested in participating in this premium auction. Again, 4 p.m. is when registration starts. After the show is over this morning at 10 a.m., we will also invite all premium auction exhibitors and their families to attend a brief auction meeting. Again, that will be at 10 a.m. or immediately following the pig show. And it will be here in the Stevens Arena. At this meeting, they're going to review logistics for the sale and discuss what to expect and answer any questions you may have. We look forward to this first premium auction that will be held today. One other event I want to remind everybody, at 3 p.m. today, we will be having our Elite Showmanship Championship. Again, the Elite Showmanship Championship will occur at 3 p.m. this afternoon here in the Stevenson Arena.
And that's trio of the breeding gilts out here. I'm going to use the young man's belted gilt to start the class. And she does this pretty easily in my mind. I think this gilt combines a lot of neat features. She gets out and moves. She's really appropriate. The angle of her hawk and the way she ties her head, neck, and shoulder junction together. She's still relatively youthful about her head. I like how much shape she's got. She's kind of the bigger rib, softer middle type of gilt out here. Just a nice place to start the class. From there, we're going to go with the young lady's predominantly white gilt over here. I think she's one that has a lot of muscle shape. I like just how much expression she's got to her. For me, she's maybe one that's just a little bit harder made. I'd like to give her just a shot more rib shape and center body to compete with that gilt ahead of her, but certainly one that's long-fronted and neat up through that aspect. The gilt that's going to round up at cross is really long-sided. I like that about her. I think she's one that's pretty big-footed. For me, she just gets a little bit straight off of either end. I'd like to just let her get out and go just a little bit better. She's awfully straight at the angle of her hawk and into her pasture. Just like to make her sit down with a little bit more comfort and ease as she gets out and motion out in the ring. But congratulations, nice class of the breeding gilts.
In our second class of swine breeding gilts, first place purple was awarded to Riggs and Congo, a second purple to Greta Richardson, and a blue ribbon to Dally Barnes.
nice pair of gilts out here in this particular class, and there's things I like about each one. I'm going to start with the young lady's kind of Berkshire influence gilt to start the class. I think this one's awfully good. I like the way she gets out and moves. I think she utilizes those rear legs extremely well. When you start to study her, she's still got plenty of weight and dimension to her. She's still soft-legged. She's long-sided. She gets out and goes with her head up, and she paints you a really nice picture from the side. For me, where she really excels in between the two of them is when you step in behind her and study her at the ground. I think she reads just a little bit more, with a little bit more base width than the gilt that we're going to come in next with. The gilt that comes next is one that's long pattern. She too is really good and feminine and maternal looking about her head and her neck. She's got some good length. She's got a nice underline to her. She just gives up a little bit of mass when you step in behind them and start to study them at the base of her skeleton. What a really nice pair of them there. Congratulations to those two.
In our third class of breeding gilts, purple ribbons were awarded to Megan Walahowski and Bristol Conley.
And I sign up with gilts out here for our finals in the breeding. The gilt that comes to us from that first class is one that's super long spined. I like that about her a lot. I think she's free enough in her structure. She's got some natural shape to her. Maybe if you could change her, you'd just like to soften her up a little bit. I think she gets a little bit harder made there in the center third of her body, but I think it's done a nice job with her. The gilt that wins the second class walking in front of me now is one that balances up really nice. I like her in that aspect. As I said in class, she's one that's still really youthful about her head and her neck. She's fresh. She's one that's really level made. I think she's one that's got enough width. She's not the stoutest in this drive, but she's got enough for me today. The gilt that wins the third class here is one that I like quite a lot. I think she just kind of is really complete. I think she balances up really well, does a lot of things really nicely. Our seconds, we'll just talk them real quick. The white gilt from that second class was one that maybe just gets a little bit harder nailed in comparison to some of the others out here today. I'm not sure she's just quite as fancy in terms of her skeletal build as some of the others, but she's going to done a nice job with her as well. Then the second in class is class number 3, that black and white gilt out there. Again, one that's really good and elevated at the point of her shoulder. I think she's good in her underline. She's got some shape. She's not the stoutest when you step right in behind him. I think she gets a little bit flatter right there. So there's a couple of them out here that I think pair up awfully nicely. I'm going to go out and I'll make a selection, but let's put our hands together for the breeding gilt drive.
We would like to congratulate our champion breeding gilt exhibited by out of our class 3, Megan Walahowski, and the reserve champion exhibited out of the second class to Riggs the Congo. We'd also like to thank the Dawson County Cattlemen for sponsoring the banners for the champion and reserve. As we move into our market gilt class, our market portion of our show, we have our first class. We will have 2 market gilts. They will be competing also for the champion and the reserve champion for market gilts. And then we will have 3 classes of market arrows. I'd also like to remind all livestock exhibitors that are interested in having to participate in the premium auction this afternoon. Premium auction contracts must be placed in the drop box located by the Red Barn within 1 hour of completion of the market show. So hog exhibitors, be prepared to have your contracts completed and placed in the drop box by the Red Barn within 1 hour of the show today.
A nice pair of gilts out here into the market division. Some differences between them for sure. I'm going to go ahead and start with the young lady's kind of blue-eyed gilt here. I think she's one that just reads with a little more natural muscle shape and expression, as you said here over the top side of her one. He's stepping behind her and she's plenty wide. I think she's one that eats out and goes adequately enough. I think you could maybe change her and free her up just a little bit, but I think one that from a meat aspect and carcass standpoint, sure enough has a lot of shape to her. She's maybe a little bit more lean when you study between the two of them, but a nice gilt to start the class. The gilt that's going to be second in your reserve market gilt is one that maybe does move just a little bit freer. I like that about her. I think she's one that's got a little bit more back fat, which is fine. She's one that's plenty wide. She's just not quite as expressive in her muscle shape. I think she gives up a little bit of loin size to the gilt that's going to start out the class. But congratulations. Let's put our hands together for the market gilt exhibitors.
We'd like to congratulate both exhibitors for receiving purple ribbons in your champion market gilt, exhibited by Greta Rickardson and reserve champion by Alex Rickardson. As our exhibitors and their families are bringing their market arrows to the ring, I'd like to again thank Natalie and Cameron Rhodes for their help in the ring today. They're doing a great job. They exhibited goats yesterday, from what I understand. You had a good day yesterday? Excellent. Thank you again for helping today. As you look around the ring, you'll see all kinds of signs that are adorning our pens that we have. I encourage you as families and exhibitors, when you see some of these business owners, when you do business with them, when you see them around town, take the time to thank them for sponsoring this event. These are really great memories that our 4-Hers and their families and these exhibitors are experiencing. And it doesn't happen without the sponsorships that are funding all of these different things, including rewards and everything. So again, take some time to thank them. It's important to support these local businesses.
Well, you're paying.
You know, they sent me a bill, and it's not itemized, so I just say, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, well, yeah, let's do it.
If you're looking for something fun to do after the conclusion of the slime show and after you had a chance to catch your breath, at 10:30 in the Raceway infield, we will have our rocket launch. Again, that's a rocket launch. Great chance to see what some of these exhibitors have been doing with their aerospace projects, and it's a lot of fun to see how things go. So if you have a chance, take a look. Just head over to the Raceway infield. We'll be going on sometime between 10:30 and 11:30 this morning. Again, that is the rocket launch.
nice class of bearers here as we start the bearer division. Some differences on the top. I'm going to go ahead and start with the young man's black bear. I think he's one that just reads a little bit truer when you study him at the ground. He's got a little bit more added length. The skeleton, I like him a little bit better out of his hip. I think he's one that's just a little stouter and square from his hip and all the way into his pastern and his hoof. They're just certainly one that has some shape and dimension. He's really appropriate in terms of fat cover. He's still good enough in his front end to go ahead and start the class. The belted bear that's going to come next. I love this one about his head and his neck. I think he's still really youthful in that aspect. He's one that's really wide chested. And with that, though, he's kind of wanting to give up a little bit of power as you really step in behind him and read him. He kind of narrows up just a little bit from his hip and down to the ground. I'd like him to take just a little bit longer step off of those rear two as he gets out and goes. But one, like I said, really like him about his head and his neck and the freshness that he's got today. The calico bear that's going to round out the class is one that just ends up being the plainer mate type hog in here. He's maybe not as fancy fronted. He's not quite as elegant up through that front 1/3 of his body. But from a practical standpoint, I like this pig a lot. I think he's one that's just going to go hang the carcass on the rail. He's done a nice job of feeding him. He's appropriate in terms of his back fat and finish. He's maybe just not quite as expressively muscled over his loin, but a nice trio of pigs there.
In our first class of market barrels, first place purple being awarded to Grant Wolonoski with a purple ribbon in second place to Bristol McConville, and a blue ribbon awarded to Alex Richardson.
Nice trio of bearers as we start to get a little bit heavier out here. I'm going to use the young lady's belted bearer to start the class. I think he comes to this position pretty easily. He's one that's got some shape and dimension to him. I think he's one that when you get him out in motion, he ties the best in from his neck into his shoulder. I think he's the most attractive up front. He's good on his feet and his legs. I like the angle of his hop and the way he sits down and drives off those rear legs. Certainly a nice bearer there to start the class. It gets pretty close between the next two, and they're really pretty similar in type and kind. I'm going to use the young man's predominantly white bearer next. I like the length of this one. I think he's one that's really level top. He gets out and goes well enough. He's maybe just not quite as stout-featured and quite as expressively muscled. Gets a little bit more refined about his bone work as you compare him to the one that starts the class, but a good practical bearer there. That sure enough hangs to meet on the rail. The young lady's bear that rounds out the class is so long and almost to his detriment. He's starting to give up a little bit in his top. He wants to get a little bit kind of sway back as he starts to compare to the other two in this class. But I love the length of loin this one's got. I think he's probably one that's a pretty good carcass value there for her. She's done a nice job of feeding him. He's ready to go today. So congratulations to them. Let's put our hands together for them.
In our second class at Market Barrows, we have purple and winning the class awarded to Paige Walahoski, with blue ribbons awarded to Augustus Barnes and Valley Barnes.
A nice pair of the heavier weight barrows out here. I'm going to go ahead and start with the young man's barrow to start the class. I think this one's just a little bit more shapely. As you study him out of the top of his shoulder and into his loin, there's a little bit more expressive. He's relatively fresh. I like the look that this one gives. I think he's maybe kind of battling a little bit of an injury there off his left rear leg. I'd like him to be able to take a little bit more authoritative step today, but he's good enough to start this class off. I like the looks of that one. The white barrow that's going to be next is one that's really looks to be that he's been feed efficient. She's done a nice job of feeding him. He's ready to rock and roll today and hang a carcass. If you're going to critique him, he's maybe a little bit plainer made. I think he gets a little bit flatter as you step in and study him in terms of some muscle shape, but a nice pair of them there. Congratulations. Let's give them a round of applause.
In our third class at Market Barrows, purple and winning class awarded to Riggs and Congo, and a blue ribbon awarded to Greta Rickerson. We will now have the selection of our champion Market Barrow, followed by the champion overall Market Swine. As our judge gets to evaluate our three class winners here, I would like to recognize and thank Bailey Hendricks for judging our show today. As mentioned before, Bailey is from here, Nebraska. She grew up exhibiting both hog, swine, and beef on their farm in that area. They competed in Adams County. Again, a big thank you to Bailey Hendricks for judging our show today.
get some of these barrows out here for the championship of them. The young man's black pig that wins that first class is one that I like quite a lot. I don't know that he's quite as fancy up front, maybe quite as elegant about his head and his neck and just the look that he gives you, but from a practicality and just a quality standpoint, I like this pig a lot. I think he's one of the most flexible in terms of his skeleton out here. He's got enough shape to him. He's adequate in the amount of back fat that he's carrying. Just really, really good from his hip and down into his hind leg. Like I said, I like that one a lot just from a functionality standpoint. The wide belted barrow that came to us from that next class is pretty similar in terms of just his build. I think he's one that's relatively soft made through the center portion of his rib cage there. He gets out and goes relatively well. I like the hop and the hind leg in this one quite a bit. He's maybe just a little bit more up-headed than that black barrow that wins that first class, but a nice pair of them there. If you're going to critique him, he maybe gets a little bit straighter at the point of his shoulder. We could give him a notch more angle there, but a nice pair of them. The bigger barrow that wins that third class, as I said, one that's really fresh. He's smooth. He bounces up nicely. I guess today he's maybe one that's just struggling a little bit more, as you said, in an emotion. If we could get that fixed, that's an awful nice pig there as well. He maybe gives up a little bit of shape through that lower rear quarter as you compare it into his hand between the others. But a nice set of them out here. And then we've got some seconds out here that are just good practical feeding type of hogs. I'll go out and I'll make a selection, but let's put our hands together for the market barrows exhibitors out here today.
Well, I flipped that. That's bad. I think it was the far north. I don't know what was that far north. It wasn't back behind.
Here it is. You're gonna have to read it though.
Oh, arena bath. Found it?
The champion, Market Trail, was exhibited by Grant Walahowski. And reserve champion, Market Barrow, exhibited by Paige Walahowski. We will now have the selection of our overall market swine.
Shut them all off. Back to that. One shows over.
Says rain back.
It does. But the next one's bathrooms.
I assume that's.
Again, we are now having our overall market swine champion selected by our judge, Bailey Hendricks. I'd also like to remind everybody, again, one last time, the premium auction is this afternoon. Bidder registrations start at 4 p.m. with the actual auction starting at 5. We want to remind all livestock visitors that they must place their their contracts in the drop box.
So you get these four out here for your champion overall selection. The kind of blue-eyed gilt that wins that first class, or that wins the gilt division. I like the muscle shape in this one. I think she's really wide. You study her at the base of her skeleton. She's really pulled apart. For me, she maybe gets just a little bit shorter there. I think she kind of wants to pinch in her ham-loin junction a little bit. Maybe just doesn't balance it quite as well as a couple of the bears, but a nice gilt. The reserve gilt, really practical build. She gets out and goes relatively well. She's good in terms of her fat cover and finish. Nice pig there. We just talked about the two barrows. I think they go together awfully nicely as well. I'll go out and I'll make a selection. Let's put our hands together for the swine exhibitors today. They've done a nice job.
Y'all gonna flip something. I think you flipped that one. Right.
See, this quartz is in the back.
Probably.
Congratulations, your champion overall market swine
What's this?
exhibited by Grant Walahowski with reserve champion exhibited by Paige Walahowski. Again, congratulations to all of our exhibitors today on a
There
great
you go. She knows how to do it.
2026 Dawson County Swine Show. We'd like to thank all of our helpers that helped out with the event today. Reminder that all pictures will be occurring right now in front of the backdrop, so now's the time to get that done. We'd like to thank everybody for that. Do not forget the auction this afternoon. All market swine exhibitors, get your contracts turned in. And again, the elite swine, or excuse me, the elite showmanship competition will also be this afternoon at 3 p.m. I apologize, we have one more event. We have the Pen of Three competition. We have two clubs competing. We have the Summer Livestock and the Horseshoe Bend. This is the Pen of Three competition.
Should Steve your or are you talking in here? Oh.
We have tried this one.
Yeah, I think it's just, unless there was a switch back here, but I don't, it was a light.
I was pretty sure it was that one. Too.
Because when we found it last year, we were like,
That, yeah, I would be about right.
Okay, our judge right now is meeting with our clubs, and I want to we have three clubs competing in this competition. Again, we have Summer Livestock, we have Horseshoe Bend, and we have Antelope competing for the Pen of Three. In this competition, there has to be at least two different exhibitors representing their club. Following the selection of our champion and reserve champion Pen of Three, we will be having the awards for our swine carcass competition. We will be sharing the awards to our champion and reserve and that. And again, I'd like to thank Dawson County Academy for their sponsorship of many of these events. And then after we have the that portion of the competition, we'll wrap up our event with the Clover Kids show.
Hello. Is it the one on Stevens? Yeah. Okay. That's probably something different. Yeah. All right.
We have results from our Pen of 3 competition. Receiving purple ribbons, Sumner Livestock, Horseshoe Pen, and Antelope. Congratulations to all 3 clubs on their Pen of 3 purple ribbon exhibits. At this time, we would like to have the award for our champion and a reserve champion swine carcass market hogs. And our champion and reserve champion, it has been exhibited by Alex Rickardson, receiving purple ribbons on both hogs. These hogs came in with a back fat between a half inch to just less than 0.6. We had white eyes of over 8 and just shy of 8. And percent lean was 63% or higher. Congratulations to Alex Rickardson on the champion and reserve champion. And we'd like to encourage all the other exhibitors to please come to the desk to pick up your ribbons for your carcass, your swine carcass competition. We will now have our Clover Kids competition happening. I'd like to recognize these exhibitors for participating today. We have Harper and Ashton Bonderschmidt, McCready Peeper, Skip Wolf, Woodrow Barnes, Aspen Urban, and Chase Sorensen.
That's too far. That only has 25 yards of strike.
We've got our Clover Kids showmen out here. Most of them have made multiple debuts here at the fair throughout all the species, so they've been They've been busy participants all week, but we'll go through and talk with them. I'm trying to think of new questions. I haven't asked them yet because I think they're starting to cheat on me up here. But we'll ask a couple questions if they feel they should answer. We'll hear what they've got to say. They're doing a nice job. All right, so they're going to tell us their name and then what their favorite food at the fair is.
My name is Deadpool, and my favorite to eat is candy.
Candy. Is that all you've had all week? Awesome. Good job, Skip. Thank you. Want to go with Rose? All right.
I'm going to biscuit gravy.
Biscuits and gravy? You do it every morning? Not every morning. Okay, well, good job. Pig's running away from you.
My name's
Parker, and what's your favorite food at the fair?
everything.
Everything. Okay. What's your name?
I'm pretty.
Grady, you've been out here before, and what's your favorite food out here?
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs. Okay, go ahead. Okay, tell them your name.
My name's Preston.
What's your favorite food at the fair?
Walking taco.
Ooh, a walking taco. Awesome. Thanks, Aspen.
Chase.
Chase,
Breakfast burrito.
breakfast burrito. Attaboy. He showed Calf the other day too, and I think last but not least, Ashton's running away from me. No ribbons for you. Okay.
Cotton candy.
Cotton candy. Insulation with sugar. Yum. Okay. Got it, buddy? All right, let's give our Clover kids a big round of applause. They're doing a great job.
Again, one more time, let's thank our judge, Bailey Hinrichs. That was probably the most challenging class she had to do there, keeping all those kids. Again, we'd like to have all families get your exhibitors ready. Those exhibitors that had champion or reserve champion in showmanship, breeding, and the market gilts and market barrows, we'd like to have you go to the backdrop photos right now. Thanks again to everyone for coming to our show today. A great job for these kids. Support them with their livestock auction this afternoon, and for those competitors competing in the elite showmanship at 3 p.m. Thank you.